Hello, everybody. How are you? Good to be back. And today, I don't want to talk to news, but I want to talk to something I've been discussing with quite a few of my friends and my daughter. And this is the topic of feminism, because I feel like for a very long time, I have been quote unquote like self sufficient, independent woman focused on a career. And more recently, I realized that the notion of feminism is not good. It's not good for women. It's not good for men. Just my opinion. Hear me out. And by the way, I'm trying to use a new headset. It's a little bit lighter compared to my air traffic controller set, but let me know if you feel the quality is not good enough. I can switch back. So anyway, let's talk about feminism. So first of all, to me, the notion of feminism is around two things. We told women at some point that you can work and be successful as your father. And at the same time, we told women now, with the contraception pills and with your own income, you can have as much sex as your brother and you won't be stigmatized. So I know it's a simplification, but that's kind of, to me, the core foundational pillars of feminism. And what we see currently, and this is not like my own idea. I actually heard a number of conversations around this topic recently, and I just want to summarize for you how I see it now, right? So we have the school system that promotes sort of feminine behavior. You have to be collaborative, you have to memorize things, you have to ask for permissions, you have to have good grades, you have to be obedient, and then you're viewed as successful or somebody with a potential. You have good grades, teachers love you, you don't cause any trouble, so it's all good. And at the same time, a little bit more like masculine behavior in boys, which is like being rebellious, being assertive, going against the grain, challenging authority, is not welcome at school. So it is viewed as disruptive, not friendly, impolite, and all of that. So luckily, my eldest son, he's like out of the educational system by now, but I do feel this environment isn't good for boys. And then we go to universities. It's pretty much the same. We know statistically that right now there are more women going to universities and graduating with degrees, and there are less men doing this. And there is, in terms of dropout, statistically, more men drop out of universities than women. So if you go to a workplace right now at the earlier, I would say, stage of like a junior career, right, level, you still need more feminine kind of characteristics to be acceptable, sort of. So you need to follow instructions, you need to listen to what people have to say to you, you have to follow the protocol, you need to be patient, you have to accept like bureaucracy that exists at the corporate level. Again, so this desire of men to, like, or natural desire of men to go and hunt and be a little bit aggressive and be competitive and be maybe a little bit contrarian is actively suppressed. So that's that. That's just one thing how, like, okay, so guys, there is a church going on. I'm live, so we're just going to, like, we're going to live with the church bell for a while. Anyway, so then we have like a complete disruption of a social fabric around like family partnership and how like couples are being formed, because we told women, and I mean, I'm glad that I'm like out of the like age where you have to, you know, form a family or start a family or think about having kids. But essentially, what you're having is a situation where, first of all, women feel like I make my own money. Sometimes my partner earns as much as me or even less if you are like a career person. So if, like, for example, if you're following this, probably you prioritize career and like professional progress, so which is great. I'm not against it, but hear me out. So then your expectations, if you're a woman, that you would like to have a partner who is at least as successful, as knowledgeable, traveled as much, has some common interests with you, are limited because remember, the whole educational systems is suppressing men. So that's the first thing. So it is statistically right now at the like age between 20s and mid 30s, you probably have a lot more successful women than you have successful men. And women are statistically not likely to marry or form a family or have children with a guy who makes less money or has like lower social like perspectives or status in a way. So that's that. And then we also have this opposite trend with, like, I would say that like sexual freedom and contraception, that if you have like, so there is no pressure for men in terms of like family pressure, social pressure to actually take care of a woman if she gets pregnant, because the idea is she is a strong independent woman. She also wanted to have sex. If we don't want to marry, we don't want to marry. Of course, maybe the guy would say, I will support the child, but that's it, right? So there is no pressure. And also, there are significant economic barriers for young people to uh, like be ready and willing and kind of wanting to form a family. So the decision when people feel like ready, that they can afford the family, they have some place to live, they have a job, they have, they can afford a bigger house, they can afford a nanny. So all that like doesn't happen at the age of 25. Most likely it's probably happening at the age of 35, which is great if it's still happening. But we know that the birth rates in Europe, in the US, in Japan, in South Korea are not good at all. Like there are not enough babies, there are not enough young families to even replace the current population. So this is where we have another problem. But now I want to talk a little bit more what sort of goes underneath that, in my opinion. If you tell women that, okay, you don't want to have children, that's great. You can be as happy as a professional woman, doing your hobbies, having friends, traveling the world, which, yes, like I totally accept that we don't judge people based on whether or not they have or don't have children. We don't, but here's the thing. What I notice is when I meet somebody like my age and they don't have children, with the age of like 40 something, probably they're not going to have children. I realize that people who don't have children, who are like 45 plus, they tend to be like a little bit immature and naive. I'm generalizing here, but this is a controversial episode. I'm ranting, so just bear with me. So, having a child is an ultimate stress test for many people because this is when you learn how to prioritize. This is when you learn how to compromise, how to rearrange things, how to be flexible. And also, this is where you learn that your own priorities or your own plans are not the ultimate, truth. Things can change. your children get sick, they may have issues at school, they may be in a bad company. So, like, everybody has their own journey, but raising children is stressful, to say the least. It's also very rewarding, but most importantly, I think in the past, like biologically and from the point of view of the evolution, it forms your character. It helps you to mature and become a better person. So if we think about that, that like the maturity process would be from like when you are a baby and you're crying and screaming, like, I need a diaper, I need to be fed, I'm cold, I'm hot. So everything is about you because you have a very little understanding of like the world around you, and everything feels like it needs to rotate around you. And like as you grow and mature, you learn that it's not about you. And the ultimate wisdom of people, I would say, when you talk to like really like old and wise people, they are almost universally about helping, connecting people, trying to, sometimes too much, we know this, like give you advice and steer you and sort of make sure that whatever the lessons that they have accumulated are passed to the next generation. So they're very altruistic and they're very patient. They know things take time. They know it's not about you. They know certain things, like, you know, even related to money or conflicts with your bosses or some kind of rows we have with like friends or neighbors. They know this is not important, and they know what is like really important, which is human connection and like friendships and the quality of your relationships and your health and all that, like, I would say universal values. And my point is that we don't judge people because they don't have children, but we do. I mean, I do sometimes. Anyway, I do judge people when I feel like they're 45 and they're immature, they don't know how to compromise, they don't see the point of view of the other person, they feel spoiled, they feel entitled, they don't see how certain circumstances are results of their own actions. And this is all a sign of immaturity, and it correlates with, you know, not having children, in my opinion. Like, you could disagree with me, or I mean, I welcome if you disagree with me, but I'm ranting, so it's my show. I can do whatever the F I want, right? So that's that. So we do have a generation, and potentially second generation, of people who do not want to have children. And to me, it means that not only they will not have they won't experience the joys and the benefits and the stability and the like emotional maturity that comes with having family and children, but also even at work or in their other relationships or aspects of life, they won't be as mature characters as they could be if they haven't gone through the process of raising children. So overall, I kind of feel that the people who have stable relationships, and it's kind of funny because I heard different parameters and different statistical like study outcomes about that. But I would say most people who have stable partnerships, I'm not talking about like formal marriage, but like stable partnerships, people are healthier, they tend to live longer, they potentially like they have more happiness, it's more economically viable where you can combine resources, right? So there are many psychological, financial, and health advantages of living with another person and sharing your life with somebody. Even though these statistics tend to be better for men than for women. It seems that, like, on average, men are really more likely to make more money, live longer, be healthier, like have like better like metrics that you could how you could measure life if men are married or like in a stable partnership. It's a little bit more complicated with women because it seems that single women do have like potentially better like parameters around their own income, and for some another strange reason the level of addiction or like chances of abusing alcohol and some other metrics for married women are not as good as for single women. But generally speaking, many, I would say, girlfriends that I have, and most of my like I think all of my girlfriends actually are like professional women who have worked very hard, and like professional self-expression is a big part of our life. But still, none of us ever says that uh, um, sorry about that. So I'm just at the hotel, so surprises anyway. So none of my girlfriends would say that my best happiness, the biggest joy I have in my life is from work. Nobody would say this. Like, I can guarantee you, even like after the biggest, professional success, MBA graduation, what have you, uh, still the best moments would be not related to work or not directly related to work. So anyway, so and then we had a conversation with some of my girlfriends because some of us would say that feminism didn't go enough. That's why there is this gap of, not for our generation, for the millennials and the generation after, because it feels like men and women don't talk to each other. I mean, men and women do talk to each other, but they don't talk to each other in a way that prioritizes forming stable relationships and having children. And I do feel the problem of, because societally this is a problem. Like, we go extinct if something doesn't change. I mean, I did my part. I have 3 children, so like I did my best, right? But for the younger generation, unless something changes, it's not going to be good for the Western society. And I blame feminism. I blame the fact that the society tries to create this self-sufficient, dominant, somehow like successful woman who has her own money and doesn't need, quote unquote, need anything. And if she wants to have like a short-term fun or hook up, she can totally do it. Nobody would blame her. That's how people are selling feminism. But my point is that if you remove the fact that there are certain things that a woman cannot do, and she expects and wants and enjoys having a partner who would do these things for her, a woman would never respect a man. Like, never. And if a woman doesn't respect a man, she wouldn't be interested in having children with him. She wouldn't be interested in like having romantic relationship with him. So it's kind of, if your mindset is propagandized by this feminism ideas, your chances of having like a healthy attitude and healthy tension between healthy polarity, yeah, polarity is probably the right word, healthy polarity between a role of a woman and a role of a man, like the biological instincts and factory settings, so to speak, that we all have. If younger generation is unable to embrace that, yeah, they're, in my opinion, going to be economically like limited, but also pretty unhappy as human beings. So this is what I wanted to say about feminism. I do feel it it's gone too far. We have to reverse it. We have to go back to traditional values. It doesn't obviously mean that women shouldn't vote. And it doesn't obviously mean that women cannot uh, have a career or manage their own money. Like, it's not about that. I think what the missing part is that and men at schools should be reminded, and not just at schools, at universities, wherever like this generation gets indoctrinated, that there are certain advantages and benefits and natural, I would say, roles that both genders should play. And unless you embrace it, you may not be as self fulfilled and happy as you could be. That's my point. Have a wonderful Sunday, guys. See you here next week. Bye.